What's going on, Jeromes? The NFL draft is the ultimate crapshoot. Sure things will bust, and guys who you think are going to bust sometimes pan out, right? And there's always random dart throws, and it's just a lot of fun because no one knows anything. Well, no one knows anything, but everyone thinks that they know everything. You don't know what you don't know. But, of course, this year's draft, there's a lot of guys that are polarizing. You look at Richardson, you look at Levis, and some players that just make you scratch your head if they end up a Minnesota Vikings. So we put it out to you, the people. We asked the Jeromes, what was the phraseology of the question here? Let's look that up. What player would you be upset about the Vikings drafting? Right. So we put it out there. We're going to run through a handful of these responses. I wonder how many Will Levises there are going to be. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Jamar Gibbs. Oh, Jamar Gibbs will be good. I think Jamar Gibbs will be solid, but thing is, like, you're not going to take him at 23. Maybe if you trade back into the second round or trade up, sure. I'd be mad of any quarterback outside of Young, Stroud, and maybe Richardson. I do think that Young and Stroud are the safest ones, even though Bryce Young, you worry about the weight, but I'm not worried about the weight. Richardson, Hooker, Levis, McKee, DTR, they all have question marks. I mean, they do. But I'd rather go all in on a prospect than dink around and get a boom or bust one. I think overall, Ken Bagwell. Trading multiple first rounders to trade up for Levis. The only two quarterbacks I really like are Strong, Young, and maybe Richardson. That's what I just said. That's crazy, man. But since the top five is really out of reach, blah, 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 blah. I think that's what gets people the most is the potential of trading up and just going all in, and those future first-round picks or sinking significant draft capital into one of these spots. Overall, the feel I get from the fan base as I take the temperature of the fan base rectally, I think people are fine taking a quarterback. Just when it talks about like moving heaven and earth to go get a guy, even though Young and Stroud are seen as the safe, sure things. There's no such thing. Like even Caleb Williams, even Drake May, even Quinn Ewers next year, like certainly are not sure things either. I would be happy to trade him back. Quentin Johnston, but of course I'll root for whoever they draft to do as well. Yeah, I need to sit out wide receiver evaluation because I worried about Justin Jefferson getting off a press and only operating from the slot. Yeah, about that. But yeah, with Johnston, I think the overarching thing is that even though he's huge and he's a physical freak, like he doesn't play as physical as you would want him to. Like going back to, even though he showed well against Kansas State, like at times when Julius Brents, who's one of the better press man corners in this class, really locked him up at the line of scrimmage, there are some concerns. And scouting reports could be out that, hey, just jam Johnson at the line of scrimmage and you'll win. That's a major concern. I think it's why I go back and forth. Like he vacillates between my wide receiver 2 and 4 in this class. I still love me some JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba as wide receiver 1. Speaking of which, cheese. Any wide receiver in the first round, they should save that pick for a cornerback and grab a receiver later. Well, what if the cornerbacks are picked through? Like it could be a spot where Witherspoon, Gonzo, JPJ, and then maybe some of the other ones, are off the board. Maybe Banks, maybe Smith, etc. And do you just force a pick at cornerback, or say, hell, JSN makes it 23, or Johnson, or Zay, or Addison? No. Next up, Shadow Flame Gaming. Hendon Hooker is the only one I would be really mad at. I can't believe people are putting him over Levis. They're on different levels as prospects. Almost everyone who watched the film agrees. I don't know if almost everyone who watched the film agrees, because I actually watched a lot of film on both of them. I think Hendon Hooker is rare in terms of down the field accuracy. Like it really is impressive. Levis, of course, has that big time arm, and his 2021 tape is much better than 2022. But also, you need to take into account the talent level around him at Kentucky. Wan'Dale Robinson, as well as NFL caliber coaching, and Liam Cohen that 1 year. But with Hooker, like, people make a lot about the offense. I just look at specific throws. Like Hooker does have the arm to drive the ball outside the numbers. He does have great accuracy deep. He's got great intangibles. Leader in the locker room. Levis personality-wise, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, Hendon Hooker, like I understand. Like for me, like Hendon Hooker, like the drawback isn't on the field, right? And yeah, you could say that Well, he never moves past his first or second read. That's because that's his first or second read is always open because he got Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman when they're healthy. But nah, the drawbacks on Hooker are the ACL, which I'm not concerned about, and age, which overall I'm not concerned about either. K Fizzle, any cornerback in the first round. But it's a good cornerback class, man. Sparky Finch, anyone in first round besides top 5 or so? Anyone in first round? Anyone in the first round besides the top 5 or so? So just don't make a pick. just let teams jump them. Well, because hey, last time that happened to the Vikings, they got Kevin Williams, who should be in the Hall of Fame. So who knows? Rob Anderson, any wide receiver or running back in the first round? I disagree with the wide receiver. Running back wise, I mean, Bajan. Like, I understand that running back's devalued, but Bajan's a dude, man. Nikki Covington, they better draft a wide receiver cornerback. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Ben Shormian. Usually I would be understanding about all picks, but I don't think I would like one bit if they took Quentin Johnston. Yeah, I feel like... So Johnson came into the process as a clear wide receiver 1. I think that's been downgraded a little bit. Like, he is a physical freak. Concentration drops are an issue. Getting off a press man are an issue. Yes. Aaron Gibson, Will Levis, he's all hype and no substance. The film doesn't lie. Well, I mean, the 2021 film is really impressive, man. And, yeah, he is careless with the football at times. His mechanics are a mess at times. But he makes some rare throws, like super rare. Now, the question is, it's sort of like a golfer who's like a 10 handicap, but then one day he just randomly shoots a 70. He's like, I'm a 70 shooter now. That's not always the case. Now, you have to figure out if he's going to be a scratch golfer or if he's a guy who just had a good round, but he's really a 10 handicap. Rain, running back. Hooker for sure in the first round. Older, ACL, yes. And also, all these are relative to draft position. I mean, obviously, Hooker in the first round, that's a gamble. Hooker in the third round, you would take it if he fell that far, which I doubt. Or, Levis, if he fell to 23, yeah, you're in. But Levis trading up into the top 10, probably not. The drifter, Bajan, why can't the additional receiver needed come from the running back position? Why can't these additional receiver come from the running back position? Oh, so he would be happy with Bajan, I'm guessing. Johnston, contested passes, yes. If they draft a receiver, trade down, drafting a DB. It's a pretty good cornerback class this year, man. Jeff Palmer, I'd rather they don't take a wide receiver at all. Or I'm guessing we're talking specifically first round, but I don't know. Like JSN, Addison, I really like Zay Flowers too, man. Will Levis, overrated athlete who failed to prove much in almost 6 years in college. Doesn't have the upside to justify any faults in his game. I take Hendon Hooker before I burn down the next 5-10 years on the opportunity of draft Will Levis as a quarterback. Also, so that's a misnomer too. Like, even if you're giving up first-round picks, it's not burning down your franchise. It really isn't. You're giving up future first-rounders, and to a degree, like, ego can be involved, and sometimes some teams and some GMs can't fold a losing hand. We're just like, well, it's a sunk cost, so let's just keep throwing good money after bad. But given the rookie wage scale, like, it doesn't set you back financially like it did, like a Jamarcus Russell contract. So especially if you just stick and pick. Like, if they take Levis at 23 and then they determine that he's not the guy, that doesn't rule out taking a quarterback in 2024. Look how fast Arizona moved on from Josh Rosen. Look how fast the Jets moved on from Zach Wilson. So it doesn't hamper you like it used to. CJ Williams, anybody that's not a stud receiver in the first round. Late-ins, no slow skill guys, and no little cornerbacks. All right, so, well, I mean, JSN is slow, but he's extremely agile and hostile, and that's what he's going to do in the slot. And no little cornerback, so I guess no Forbes. First-round quarterback, not Young, Stroud, or Richardson. Yeah, I understand that. Hooker or Deonte Banks in the first, that's all. Deonte Banks is good, though, man. Hooker in the first round, sure. A center? Well, maybe at 23, but trading back and getting John Michael Schmitz or Uluwatimi in the mid-rounds, let's go, man. Darius Rush. I do think that Darius Rush is a little bit overfluffed. I think testing-wise, he really helped himself out. Like, you're betting on traits versus production. Even though you do have to factor in that, a lot of quarterbacks stayed away from Cam Smith, so Darius Rush was getting a lot of that labor. So, go from there. Banks. What does everyone have against Banks? Maybe it's just mock draft fatigue because everyone and their mom has Deontay Banks. Thanks, mock to the Vikings. Levis, Hendon Hooker, any quarterback. So if the Vikings, so say the Texans go defense at 2, or they win Anthony Richardson, and say Stroud is 1 to the Panthers. So you would not trade heaven and earth if you were my quarterback to go get Bryce Young. Come on, man. Bryce Young's gonna be good. Xavier Hutchinson. That's odd. Like you would hate to draft a mid-round receiver. But I don't know. Maybe he's an Iowa fan. Who knows? Because Hutchinson, the pride of Iowa State. Stetson Bennett. I understand why people are saying, like, well, Stetson Bennett, 2-time national champion and all that stuff. I just don't see him as an NFL quarterback. I just really don't. And I'm generally like looking for the upside on most of these prospects. Hooker, McKee. First one for McKee. I think that the lack of pocket awareness and lack of mobility is really going to hurt McKee. Like, he's got a big arm, he's got a big frame, but he's a bit of a plotter, and the Vikings offensive line, like, has to be perfect for McKee to succeed. And then Levis and Hooker there. So a lot of Levises, a lot of Hookers, a couple of shots at the receivers, a couple of Bajans in there. But I mean, overall, I would be fine. Like, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell doing the work, doing the diligence with the scouts, and they determined that if this guy's the guy, I mean, you got to trust it. You got to trust the process at this stage. But your thoughts are thoughts. Draft picks of Vikings fans would be mad about. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.